right, folks. Hey, welcome back to the program this morning. We do have a special treat. Once again, I want to introduce you to the former congressman from the great state of Colorado. His name's Tom Tancredo. He joins us now. Tom, how are you, sir?
I'm doing very well because, for one thing, I'm back home in Colorado, not in Washington.
That's good. Well, so you're doing a great job. You're speaking and representing this great organization, We Build the Wall. You can go, folks, to, webuildthewall.us. How is that going right now?
That's great. We have completed, of course, our first endeavor. It's a wall that goes from the Rio Grande River, right where Texas and New Mexico meet at the Rio Grande. And it goes up the New Mexico side, up a mountain called Mount Cristo Rey, and it's an area where the Border Patrol and the other parts of government that are designed to do these kinds of things said, no, can't do it. Impossible, too expensive, too difficult. It would take too long. And so this poor guy that owned that property, that it was adjacent to the border, it was a brickyard. He had to finally close it because of the inundation of illegal immigrants across that border and into his property, stealing everything they could get their hands on, vandalizing everything else. Finally, and he kept begging the Border Patrol to do something about it. The Corps of Engineers said, no way. So we came in, we completed our wall, which is, by the way, I'm going to sound like the president here, okay? This is the greatest wall that's ever been built on the planet Earth. Anyway, it really is something. Even the Border Patrol said it's the best barrier that exists on the border. The steel is better than anything the government uses on theirs. The sensors are better. We built a concrete road along the side for the Border Patrol to use to patrol it. We call it the Deplorables Highway. It is absolutely, honestly, people should go to webuildthewall.us and take a look at it. It really is great.
Well,
so that's completed, and we did it, by the way, 1/10 of the time, 1/3 of the cost that the government was planning for. So we're on to the next phase.
Well, and we've talked about this before. People can go donate, but there's been so many just regular folks across this country that have donated to this effort because you guys are actually getting it done. So can you tell us what is the next phase?
Well, I can tell you we have 3 that are, maybe I should say, in the pipeline, and one that's very close, but I can't tell you specifically where, because the minute we say where we're going to do it, the other side, of course, goes in, finds a judge, tries to get an injunction, and causes lots of delays and problems. So we try to do it, we get everything in place, and then quickly
move,
do everything we can. That's right. But
hopefully you guys could swoop in with helicopters and just build it at night, and nobody would even, they wake up the next day and it'd be built.
Well, it was kind of like that in what we did down in Sunland Park, which is the one I just described, because, believe me, perhaps the toughest part of all this is getting the permits from the various local entities, the cities, counties, because many of these places along the border, how do I want to put this? Corruption doesn't stop at the border, okay?
Yeah.
And so there are people on both sides. This particular town we had to work with had been taken over once, if not twice. I can't remember for sure if it was the second time, but I know once that the state of New Mexico, the governor had to take over and appoint a new mayor, a police chief, all the rest, because they'd all been sent to jail or corrupted. Yeah. And so it's a difficult place to work, and so you have to be very judicious in the way you approach it.
Absolutely. We're talking again with former Congressman from Colorado, Tom Tancredo. Okay, he's advisory board member at We Build the Wall. That's webuildthewall.us. Now, he's also the author of a book that came out back in the Bush era, and it's entitled "In Mortal Danger: The Battle for America's Border and Security." So this has been one of your key issues of research for a long time about what these decades and decades of unchecked illegal immigration has done to this country.
Yes, sir. It has been my political raison d'etre. I started actually way back, believe this or not, 1976. I was elected to the Colorado legislature, and my first bill ever was to repeal, I should say, because Colorado was the first state to actually adopt a bilingual education program. So I was a teacher at the time, and I saw what it did to my classroom, what had happened to the kids that were in it, were pulled out. And I thought, who thought of this idea? Who believed this was a good thing for children? And so when I went into the legislature, I did, in fact, introduce legislation to eventually, to abolish it. I would always get them for about a third of their funding, but eventually I did get on the Joint Budget Committee and did reform it pretty dramatically. But it has been that long that I've been involved with this.
Yeah.
And as years go by, you become more and more aware of the importance of this, of the danger that it poses, of the damage that it does to the country. And so it's pretty hard to just ignore it when you consider that illegal immigration, maybe I can say immigration, both legal and illegal, is made up of people who do not want to assimilate into America. It touches and it damages almost every part of American life. I mean, whether you're talking the school systems that are inundated, the healthcare systems that are inundated, the prisons that are, the murders that occur in these sanctuary cities, well, all over, of course, thousands of people, and literally, I'm not kidding, I'm not being hyperbolic here, thousands of people have been killed in this country by people who are here illegally, who should never have been here. And so when you recognize the totality of it and the impact on the culture itself, you say to yourself, well, how can I not actually pay a lot of attention to this issue?
You're exactly right. And, we've talked to angel moms, we've talked to angel dads, and I know at least two of the ones I've talked to, are affiliated with We Build the Wall.
Yes, sir. They're on the board.
But I really think this is an interesting take. You have been, again, since the Bush era, this has been your key issue. You know what you're talking about. You saw what happened in Colorado when they first, like you said, started teaching, language bilingually. And yet it has spread into the state of New York to the point where, and this was the headline over at the New York Post, city bans calling someone an illegal alien out of hate. This is September 26th, so it's a couple of days ago, but it says right here, it's now against the law in New York City to threaten someone with a call to immigration authorities or refer to them as an illegal alien when motivated by hate. What are your thoughts on that?
Of course, it's ridiculous. It's Orwellian, is what it is. But I must tell you that, I wrote for several years. I wrote for Breitbart, column every week, and at least two of them I remember doing on this issue of hate speech and how we were going to erode the First Amendment guarantees against for free speech by this hate group mentality, and that's exactly what's happening. I assure you it's not going to stop here. Now, maybe this will be, I hope it will be, of course, overturned, but it will not stop. The idea of stopping you from saying something because somebody else believes you shouldn't is part and parcel of liberal ideology. They can't handle, what was the great line, you can't handle the truth?
Yeah.
And here's the deal. This is the way I really look at this whole thing. And it does come from having been involved in it for so long. And it does deal even with the most recent activity around impeachment. We have, in that, for at least 50 years, if not more, we have moved in this country, it seemed inexorably to the left. It doesn't matter who was president or who was controlling Congress. It always moved that way, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. Maybe Reagan was able to, direction, but the flow in that direction. But indeed, that's been the way it has worked, and it was all leading to what Barack Obama said was his goal of thoroughly transforming America. This has been happening for a long time. It puts a mindset together on the part of the left that they believe they have believed for a long time that it's inevitable. They're going to win. If they will transform America. They can look historically at the movement and say, yep, I can see it happening. Well, one part of that, a catalyst in that movement, has been illegal immigration, or just massive immigration of people who do not assimilate, people who will become a permanent underclass, constantly demand more from government, therefore expanding government, therefore bringing about this transformation of America into a totally socialistic system. Now, that I think, that's my perspective here, and it's because I spend a lot of time on immigration, I know, but I really believe that that's why they are fighting this so hard, fighting the changes that Trump is trying to bring about, and indeed it develops not only into a hatred for Trump, but to a hatred for his attempts to change the direction, not only stop that leftward movement, but maybe even reverse it, especially through his judicial appointments. So I think this is what is a big part of what we're experiencing in Washington, D.C. The immigration is so important to the left, and it has been aided and abetted by Republicans, because you have Republicans who are open borders people because of the money that flows to them, their campaigns through the Chamber of Commerce and others. So that's a long, answer, but I really...
I think it's really comprehensive. We're talking with former Congressman from Colorado, Tom Tancredo, and I just want to ask you, one more question. You talk about fundamentally transforming the country like Barack Obama said he was going to do. Then you also, people who are concerned about illegal immigration, they're called xenophobes by the left. You're, and maybe some people on the right do say, we don't need to allow these people from other countries, other cultures into our country in this way. It's unchecked. It's illegal. They're changing the country, or they're, these are things that the left says are terrible attitudes to have, xenophobic. But let's just be clear here. Right now, in the state of New York or the city of New York, they're restricting the use of words.
Yeah.
So by the very fundamental idea, indirectly, illegal immigration is a thing, and the First Amendment, somehow the governments are responding to it, liberal ones, by diminishing your First Amendment right to use the word illegal alien. So there are massive changes, fundamental changes afoot.
Absolutely, and believe me when I say that it is part of this overall plan to restructure the essence of America. How do you do this? Well, you have to change the population to a certain extent. And I'm not talking about color or ethnicity. It's got nothing to do with it. I'm talking about attitude.
Yeah.
Talking about the desire to actually have the government be your protector. And there's the oldest adage in politics that I believe is true, and that is, when you rob Peter to pay Paul, you can always count on Paul's vote. And so, therefore, this is why this promise of utopia, this Orwellian idea, works for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Congressman Tom Tancredo, we really appreciate you being on the program again. Again, from We Build the Wall. It's WeBuildTheWall.us. Project number 2 is underway. We don't know where yet, but you can donate there, WeBuildTheWall.us. Also, check out his book, In Mortal Danger, The Battle for America's Border and Security. Congressman Tancredo, it's always great to have you on, sir. We appreciate it.
Likewise.
All righty. Yes, sir. Be safe. Folks, we're going to be back here in just a moment.